Hey everybody, thank you for joining me. So today is my 200th sketch video. I'm so excited. I can't believe it. I'm already at 200 videos just in the sketch series. So definitely check out the playlist if you want to see any of my other sketches. So for today's sketch, we're going to be using this My Mind's Eye. It's My Heritage. I had this, I want to say last year, and so I wanted to go ahead and get into it. We're going to be using those two punches, which is 2.5 and 2.25. And we're going to start by cutting our card bases and our other elements. Okay, so this one is going to be, I have both pages because within the 6x6 paper pad, you get two of each design. So I figured since I had to make the two cards, I was going to make them both the same anyway. So the honeycomb kind of like paper here, we're going to cut at 4 by 5.25. And then these two sheets, I think I'm going to use the flower for the section that's going to go along in the middle. That is, I want to say, uh, is it 2.25 by 4 3/4? I'm going to grab that sketch up real quick um, so I can tell you guys. Yep. So 2.25 by 4 3/4. Okay. And then literally, this is how I figure it out. So as I'm cutting stuff and I'll start layering the pieces I do have done on top of each other. And if I don't like it, then I'll pick another piece of paper or I'll save it and use it on a different project. But my first thought was this one would be cute having the two papers stacked on one another. I don't know what I was reading on these things, but I wound up cutting it like 3 3/4 in length by like 1.25. And I was like, these are super big and they do not look that big in the sketch. So I was like, okay, so what am I missing? What am I not, you know, um, in my brain, why isn't it working type thing? Well, it turns out it's 1.25, which would be 1.25. That's the length. And then the width is 0.375. Okay. So 0.375 is basically like 3/8 of an inch. So yeah. Yeah. So instead of having it read the wrong way, once I read the correct size, I was like, okay, I don't like how the pattern paper was looking there. So I was like, let's use some of the glitter paper. It's just those two little small accents. I think it'll work. So I decided to cut the paper right at 1.25. And then I'm just going to go towards the top, line it up on 3/8 and cut 6 of those. Because you need 4, 6. Lord Jesus. I wish I could add. I cut 8 because you need 4 for each card. All right, we're just gonna cut those up and place them. And I really do like how that's turning out. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this is gonna work out good. All right, so once I get those cut up, we're going to work on our matte pages. Now, for the card base, I'm using that green cardstock. So for the pattern paper to start building our scene, I guess, since it was cut at 4 by 5.25, the matte is going to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. That'll give us a nice border around the pattern paper and on the card base itself. All right, so we're going to trim that down. And then cut one more. Oh, wait. No. I'd already cut the two for the mat. I was cutting here, or trying to cut for the one going long ways, but I cut it wrong. So we'll come back to that later when I have to recut it because I cut it short. So right now we're just going to put in our inside cardstock. And like I said, I don't know if you haven't seen some of my most recent videos. I got a pack of cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, and it's a bunch of different colors, but the weight of the cardstock, it's not as light as 65. It feels like it's a little bit thicker than 65 pound, but it's not as heavy as 110 pound either. So because of all the layering and the stuff that we do to the front, I felt like on the inside, a lot of these cards you have to put either a piece of white or something in there to give it a little bit of a more substantial weight to it, because otherwise your top part of the card will be basically top heavy and make it like kind of bow weird. So now we're going to start attaching all of our pieces. And just like always, I always use tape runner and art glitter glue. And I do that to allow myself some time to be able to put this together and get it lined up. If I didn't and I put it down just using the tape runner or ATG tape, then it's like once you put it down, whatever you do, you're kind of forced to be committed. Whereas with the wet glue, it gives you a few seconds to be able to tear it apart and not tear apart your project. All right, so now we got that piece down. Now for this one, I'm going to show you the one I did initially off camera. On this one, I am going to just attach mostly everything straight to the card. One of the things I love doing with sketches is if you keep it flat to the card, it does allow for you to be able to ship a little bit easier, meaning that you don't have to pay all that extra for all the thickness of the foam and all that kind of stuff, because it'll have problems going through the regular post office. They'll have to like make it a special scan, and then you pay a little bit extra for that. Nobody has time for that. So if it's something that I'm mailing out, sometimes I will purposely keep them small or flat to the project as much as possible. Whereas if it's something that I'm going to hand deliver to somebody, then the other card option I'm going to share with you when we're done with this one, it has elements that are sticking up that I used foam tape to give it just a little bit of added dimension. And it works, it's a way to provide interest without going too crazy. So before starting, I had done up a couple of sentiment strips because I knew I wanted to make a couple of like birthday cards, and so I had to kind of have them together and off to the side because I wasn't sure exactly which one I wanted to use, and I needed one of the shorter messages, which is what I have here. And you can go even as further as like stamping on a circle and putting it right in the center. I liked having the pattern paper because sometimes I just like to use all the different patterns, and it was a way to tie in the green into using the green card base. So that's why I did the pattern paper. And on this one here, I'm showing you the dimension. You can see some of the foam tape. If you have black foam tape, you can use that there and you wouldn't notice it as much. So that's a suggestion if you wanted to, try different foam tapes or, use your different dimensions to give a little interest to your project. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And like I said, if you take a look at the playlist on my channel, I have one for Friday sketches. Definitely take a look. There's so many options there, some great inspiration, and I appreciate you guys still enjoying this series, that it's still going strong, and it gets a lot of views, and I'm very appreciative of that. So thanks again, you guys. Have a great weekend, and I will see you with our next video.